Hello dear students, this is my third lecture on the topic how a client was saved. In the previous lecture, we saw that Gandhiji claims to have a very good relationship, a very intimate relationship with Parshi Rustamji. And now we are going to start the next paragraph. So the next paragraph begins. This friend once got into a very bad scrape. Although he kept me informed most of his affairs, he had studiously kept back one thing. He was a large importer of goods from Bombay and Calcutta, and not infrequently he resorted to smuggling. But as he was on the best terms with the custom officials, no one was inclined to suspect him. In charging duty, they used to take his invoices on trust. Some might even have connived at the smuggling. So we see that in the second paragraph, Gandhiji says that this friend once got into a very bad scrape. This friend, that is of course Parshi Rustamji, once got into a very bad scrape. He fell into a very bad scrape. Scrape is a trouble, a problem. He got into a very bad trouble. What was the trouble? He says, although he kept me informed most of his affairs, he had studiously kept back one thing. Gandhiji claims that he used to inform me everything what was happening in his life, but intentionally, studiously means intentionally, he had kept back one thing. He had concealed one thing. He hid one thing. Hided one thing. What was that? Although Rustomji used to inform Gandhiji about most of the happenings that took place in his life, he intentionally, that is knowingly, concealed one matter, one fact from Gandhiji. And what was that? He says, he was a large importer of goods from Bombay and Calcutta. And not infrequently he resorted to smuggling. Rustomji was a large importer of goods from Bombay and Calcutta. He used to import goods from Bombay and from Calcutta. Where? In South Africa. And not infrequently. Not infrequently, that is frequently. Frequently means very often. He resorted to smuggling. He took the shelter of smuggling. Smuggling, we all know, without giving the proper tax to the government, if you continue a business, that is called a smuggling, an illegal business. And this was the business of Parshi Rustomji. He used to import goods from Bombay and Calcutta. He used to take them, bring them to South Africa, and very often, that is not infrequently, he resorted to smuggling. He took the shelter of smuggling. Means not that, it was not that uh, he always smuggled. It was not that case. He smuggled very often. That is why he used the term not infrequently. Sometimes he used to give the proper tax to the government, and sometimes he did not used to give the tax to the government. So not infrequently he resorted to smuggling. He used to take shelter of smuggling, and he used to do this very often. But as he was on the best terms with the custom officials, no one was inclined to suspect him. But his smuggling was not caught in a red hand. Why? Because as he was on the best terms with the custom officer, because the The relationship of Rustomji and the custom officials was a very very good relation. That is why he was never caught. So Gandhiji said, as he was on the best terms with the custom officials, no one was inclined to suspect him. No one ever wished, desired to suspect him. No one could even imagine that we can suspect such a great man, Parshi Rustomji. That is why he was not caught earlier, right? In charging duty, that is in demanding the tax, they used to take his invoices on trust. Actually, they used to take the invoice, that is the list of goods, of which the tax is already given. They used to take that invoice on trust. Never they never tally with the goods and the list of goods, never checked. That is why he was not caught earlier. They used to take his invoices on trust. Some might even have connived at smuggling. Some of the officials even connived, that is, they avoided, that is, they pretended not to see, even though they can see that Rustomji is smuggling, but they pretended not to see. Why? Because the relationship between the officials and Rustomji, it was a very very close and friendly relation. That is why they sometimes used to pretend not seeing the smuggling. So he says that some might even connived at the smuggling. So this is how the second paragraph ends. So what may be the important question from this paragraph? This friend once got into a very bad scrap. So who is this friend? Answer is of course Parshi Rustomji, right? Secondly, uh, what was the bad scrap? The bad scrap was, uh, Rustomji was a smuggler, and one day his smuggling was caught in red hand. So he was in trouble. That was the trouble of Parshi Rustomji, right? Next, what was the profession of Parshi Rustomji? The answer is he was an importer of goods. Next, where from Rustomji used to import goods? The answer is from Bombay and Calcutta. Then, why uh, why was the smuggling of Parshi Rustomji not detected earlier? The answer should be that Rustomji had a very very friendly relation with the custom officials. They used to connived at the smuggling, used to pretend not seeing the smuggling, and they used to take his invoices on trust. This is the main reason why his smuggling was not detected earlier. So these are the important questions from this paragraph. Thank you.